it's really our great honor to have you both. Before we hand over to you, let me just pull up your CV. So here it comes. Okay, so tonight we will hear from Professor Nalin Jayasuriya, and he is a multidisciplinary leader. He has 23 years of experience, not just in engineering, but in IT, HR, and most importantly, BPM and project management. In telecommunication industry, he worked as deputy general manager for business process management for 10 years in Sri Lanka Telecom, graduating from the University of Moratua, and he earned his DBA from University of Kelaniya. And this is interesting. Maybe we can ask later how he managed to get 3 master degrees in M.Sc in project management, MLR, HRM, and also MBA. He is also a chartered professional, and also he is also teaching and doing some research and international speaker. Most recently, Professor Nalin has joined me during the Asia Pacific of Process and Artificial Intelligence. And with him tonight, there is I hope that it stands for engineering, I think. Dinusha Rajapaksa. She is a chartered engineering professional, and he is the deputy of general manager in enterprise digital products, also at Sri Lanka Telecom. Her career started in business process management and has since gained over 15 years of expertise in driving the Sri Lanka Telecom process transformation journey, enterprise-wide automation, and operational streamlining. And her innovation-led initiatives and collaborations has earned her the recognition within the organizations. Most recently, I had the pleasure also to have a conversation and watch Dinusha presented her work with her team during the International Business Process Management Conference in Seville. So I think they are both a very interesting and esteemed speakers that will be sharing their experience to all of us today. So without further ado, I will hand over to both of you to start the guest lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. So Dinusha will start the
I will
part
share
and
the slides.
Yeah.
Hope you can see the screen.
Yeah, it's coming.
Not yet, Dinusha.
Now can see.
Right. Okay.
So thank you very much for giving this opportunity and lovely introduction. So before I move to the case organization, actually I will give a little bit introduction about Sri Lanka. So we are also an island nation. So we have only one island. So situated right below the Indian continent. And we have very small population with around 22 million. And also we are a developing country, and we are categorized as upper middle income economy. So if I move to Sri Lanka Telecom is the national telecommunication provider in the country. So we are public listed company, and majority stakes owned by the government. So our legacy spans over 165 years. During the British colony only we were started our SLT as a corporation. And we have around 6,000 plus employees. And we have island-wide operations. Our headquarters is in Colombo. And we have group consolidated revenue around 100 billion rupees, Sri Lankan rupees, and we are ranked among top 15 companies in Sri Lanka. So if I explain about the portfolio we are having, we are serving to diverse segments in the country. We have offerings to consumer and also our business enterprise customers, and also government institutions and small and medium businesses. So our portfolio, when it comes that we have basic connectivity solutions. For example, to home, we have broadband solutions, voice solutions, and pay TV solutions. But with respect to business customers, we have a wide range of product portfolios going beyond the connectivity services. We have cybersecurity, digital applications, and also we have three tier 3 data centers on into SLT. So until 1990s, actually, SLT was the only operator in Sri Lanka. So on the 1990s only, this deregularization happened and mobile operators came into picture. So until that, we didn't face any competition. We took our own time to deliver the service. Sometimes people wait 1 to 2 years to get just a telephone line to have their voice facility. And even the resource available, we took around 4 or 5 years to provide the service. So, but with mobile operators, we couldn't survive. We had the pressure. We wanted to reduce our provisioning time because mobile operators provide the service within a day or maybe within hours. So management decided in 2002, we need to reduce our landline provisioning time to 1 day. And they have set up a small team. And given that challenge, that bold challenge only initiated our BPM journey because that small team were named as BPRT. So as I said, our BPM journey did not start with the transformation strategy. So it just birthed because of the operational gaps to fill the operational bottlenecks. So it is a 2.5 decade of journey. So I have segmented it into 4 phases, and I will explain how our BPM journey, what we have done and what we have faced, what are the challenges we have faced. I will explain phase by phase. So during my presentation, if I use any technical jargons, please, we will discuss it later because sometimes I may use some technical terms which are more specific to telco domain, but I will try my best to generalize. So the 2002 actually, though they have given that bold target, because of that target, we have identified why we are lagging. So because of the siloed operations, maybe undocumented processes, and we didn't have proper automations. So, and also same time, our enterprise grade IT systems were also rolled out. Initially, we have implemented billing support system. It is just only automating a billing system. But the more crisis came with the rollout of operation support system, which cut across different departments. It is the one handling the provisioning flows, fault handling flows. So organization didn't have any process understanding. They just brought world standard IT systems and directly they wanted to implement. The OSS system was from Australia, that Australian based company, but still they face a lot of issues when they are implementing. So during that period, the BPR team was empowered to identify and fix those automation issues, and they actually conducted several sessions and identified those grassroots level root causes for these automation inefficiencies and failures. So then they have streamlined the processes to match the automation, and then they have successfully completed OSS implementation. So you understand that initial stage we didn't have any foundational knowledge about processes. So then we understood that this informal BPM practices will not help if we are scaling. Because of that, that team was sent for formal training. That BPM training was not available within the country or within the region. Because of that, that team was sent to UK to get formal training. And also, we understood that around 2008-10, we wanted to implement the customer relationship management system. For that also, management gave the assignment to BPR team to identify what are the processes need to be automated through customer relationship management system. So that BPR team was studying, and they understood that we need to just having a training, they cannot do the automation or process management, process modeling and designing. And they need a industry-oriented framework. So they followed the TM Forum ETOM framework. TM Forum is an industry alliance, not only telco operators, but also the vendors get together and identify industry challenges. It's kind of a industry alliance. TM Forum also was at early stage during that period, but there was a framework named ETOM, Enhanced Telecom Operation Map, which contained the business processes which are in a telco operator, telecommunication service provider. So we referred that TM Forum ETOM framework to understand what are the processes we need to automate through CRM system. So later, we understood that directly referring to the industry framework is time consuming. So, and also it's not customized to our SLT own requirements. Because of that, we started a project to define a SLT own business process architecture. That project is not only focusing to develop a business process architecture, but also that project defined the process of developing a process, managing business process life cycle, and also that project delivered BPM artifacts and business rules and KPIs as well. So it built, that phase actually built the foundational layer for BPM journey. So next, actually that once we deploy the CRM system, that during that time we had direct integration with our other IT systems. So management wanted to have a seamless integration. They wanted to bring the service-oriented architecture in order to bring the flexibility in the IT architecture. And also during that period, we saw that though processes were automated, we don't have the real visibility of our business processes, and we didn't have the real measurements, performance measurements. Because of that, on top of the SOA layer, we decided to bring the BPM system. So, but this kind of broader IT architectural change, we want that BPR team only we couldn't do. Because of that, we need to get the support of other functional teams. We wanted to get their functional expertise. But during that time, we understood, though the BPR team is expert on the processes, our other stakeholders involved in this projects do not have any understanding of what is a business process. If we want to streamline a business process, first we need to model it, but to give the input, the stakeholders didn't have the understanding. So that we started some workshops and awareness sessions to give the awareness of business processes. And then we have defined the ownership. We have defined the roles and responsibilities of different process owners. And we then, to implement in our BPM system, we wanted to define the key performance indicators in order to measure the performance, so that we have get the stakeholder support to define all those things. So during that phase, actually, we have achieved a really good BPM maturity, and we being the institutionalization of the BPM practice. So 2018, actually, we have started our RPA journey. It was not formally started. It was just a pilot initiative. With the implementation of service-oriented architecture, that IT architecture became modularized. So end-to-end knowledge only had with BPR team, not that IT team had only knowledge of their individual, their own system only. When there is a failure in the integration layer, there was a lot of fail orders happen. Usually in SLT, we have around per day 5,000, 6,000 orders executed through the integration, that's ESB layer, that integration bus. So if any failure happen in that integration layer, significant amount of orders get failed, and those orders need to be reinitiated manually. Because of that, IT operation team decided to implement RPA automation, and later they understood that not only for operational improvements, we can implement more RPA solutions to other functional areas as well, where we can deliver more business impact. So that we have we scaled up RPA automations, but during that period, we understood that different phases we do automations, the failure rate is high. Sometimes we don't have that RPA repository, we don't have, sometimes duplicate work happens. Because of that, we implemented in 2020 the RPA governance. The RPA governance was called by IT automation head as well as the BPM head. So we didn't have a dedicated team for this RPA Center of Excellence. We had a virtual team, and also we gave the opportunity to all the employees, if they are interested, they can get the RPA certifications. So finally, SLT was the biggest RPA certified developer team within the country, and we won a couple of awards from UiPath regional award ceremonies as well. So, and also that telco industry itself faced a lot of challenges after COVID. The competitive environment is not only within telcos, but with the entrance of the hyperscalers, the boundary between maybe telcos and the technical giants, it get blurred. For example, Starlink came into picture and they offer internet, and also the connectivity service. On top of that, there were a lot of other applications, over-the-top applications, which cannibalize our revenues, and our traditional telco revenue started to stagnate. because of that pressure, we had to transform ourselves. So all the telcos in any region started their transformation journeys. So SLT also started their transformation journey and to remodel our operational readiness to match these macroeconomic requirements. So we understood that bringing new technology will not solve these problems, but we need to revisit our core business processes to match this agility and innovation. Because of that, we started that digital transformation journey, and one major pillar was business process management. So, and also our business process architecture we developed sometimes back, maybe 2010, the project which I was explained, and during this period that was outdated, and we need to align it to latest TM Forum Open Digital Architecture, which is a composable IT architecture, which is open, and it gives more flexibility to connect with, to build a ecosystem as well as expand our product portfolios to match the competition. So this is the 2.5 decade of transformation journey which I was explained. As I explained, it was not just started with the transformation strategy, but it was evolved with the operational challenges, or maybe with the other environmental conditions. So next, I will hand over Ms. Nadine. Before that, if you want any things to be discussed, we can discuss. But I think better if we can get the questions at the end, then we can detail discuss. Otherwise, Ms. Nadine will explain key elements of BPM and how we have done within our organization. So over to you, Ms. Nadine.
The questions related to the
yeah, maybe we ask first, maybe one question, if there is a question from the audience, before you can continue with the more specific BPM. So I think, yes, you can raise your hand, or yes, Ibu Intan, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Prof. Mahi, and also today I would like to ask about the presentation. You mentioned about the strategy, the phase range about 6 years for each phase. Was it intentional that from the beginning you plan it to be 6 years each, or by the time there is a shift when you think it can be longer or it can be made shorter? Because when we plan something, usually during the implementation, we have several change and we need to adapt with that change. I think that's all of my question.
No, actually, it was not planned, but to present it clearly, I have segmented into a couple of phases, and I identified really some pattern with every 6 years.
Okay. So it wasn't not intentional, but where do you have a specific milestone that trigger for you to every 6 years coincidentally you have a trigger for something?
Yes, actually, we have that after 2006 only we have started this capability building, going to trainings and all. And the next phase only, actually, we have done the major IT transformation where organizations see the value of the BPM. And then after 2018-19, everyone knows that there's a significant change happened worldwide with the COVID and other major changes.
All right.
Hmm.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
it's
Thank you very much, Mrs. Dinusha.
Okay. Okay, now I hand over to Professor Naldin. You would like
Yeah,
to continue? Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So, actually, this particular BPM, as Dinusha explained early, it's not it's a evolving journey, right? It's not certain parts we are not planned, but based on the particular situationally, it's developed that part. We have to come up with those things, right? Because initially, what we presently in all telcos are in the movement of moving from telco to techco. We call it telco to techco because from the telco operations, because we can't survive purely with the connectivity. Therefore, we are trying to build as a telecom the solution provider. Now, that in that case, our telco is the connectivity is just a part of the solution. That's what we try to move all the telcos, because there may be few telco industry students here, so they may know that almost all the telcos are in a process of transforming their status from telco operations to tech operation. In that particular scenario, the digital transformation is the major part, right? So in that case, so we basically consider the BPM as one of the main part in this particular digital transformation roadmap. We basically link with our strategies align with the BPM part, right? So for example, if you consider customer experience and the operational efficiency, right? And those type of parts we embedded with the BPM part. So that's we try to link with or each and every time link with the BPM, because BPM is not again evolving with the digital maturity. So we have the digital maturity, we are measuring that part, and we are moving little by little with the projects what we are implementing. So that we link with this particular BPM, because BPM also the growing with the digital maturity part. So then once you come to the second part, benchmark with the standardization, as Dinusha mentioned early, we started to follow the TM forum. Actually, the British Telecom at that time, 2010, BT, 2008 to 2010, British Telecom was considered as a part of the consultancy arm for SLT to transformation. So at that time, BT introduced SLT, especially our BPR team worked directly with the BT consultancy at that time. So we are the main facilitator for the BT consultancy team. So there were several 6 pillars actually comes with the BT part. One of that part is the process. So the process, network, IT, product, and the governance, investments, HR are parts of that particular digital transformation. So they asked us to BPR team to why don't you follow the ETOM part. So then we study our engineers. So at that time we had 8 engineers, telco engineers under BPR under me. So these all are very capable guys, and from the main universities in Sri Lanka. So we work together more than 10 years as a one team. So there we started 2010 to study this ETOM architecture, and that's the framework actually we follow to develop our process architecture, as Dinusha mentioned. So further, there are like things like, so now it's moving from, go beyond the ETOM part, and they basically following the we call ODA, Open Digital Architecture, and ODF, Open Digital Framework. So we also following the same things for evolving our BPM part, right? So the next part actually comes with the change assurance. We basically link with we,
Sorry.
we basically bring with the change assurance part, that is process architecture review. We time to time review this particular part with the evolve of the products. For example, each and every time we have a separate product teams, and they are developing a set of products. So with this particular part, we may have identified certain new components we want to add to this particular BPM, which is not available at the initial stage. So this is the evolving part, review with the products and the growing of the other components. So strategically we considering that each and every time we review the BPM architecture and the BPM processes and at the part which we want again and again. So it's a evolving part. So that's what we mentioned under the strategic change and assurance and process architectural review, because if it is not the dynamic one, we can't apply the products what we introduce in now. For example, BPM once we 2010 once we implemented, so we had only the PSTN connection, PSTN part. Right. So in 2016, we started to implement the fiber FTTH. So we developed the new capabilities on top of the BPM to add this particular latest technologies. So the next part, measuring what matters, linking in the process, performance and the strategy, because if you can't measure the performance, you can't identify where you are. Right, whether we are in a same level. So the strategic level, we identify the top-down approach, and top-down level, we identify the strategy, and then we'll drill down it's into the operational level, and we are measuring the operational level KPIs. We define like cycle time, first time correct, likewise these particular the cost of the cycle process, and we measure in that part. We try to improve with the BPM part. For example, the FTTH, the PSTN to FTTH, the initial launch of FTTH, when the person who migrate from PSTN to the FTTH, it took like 1 week time. But now, presently, that is in 2016 around, right? So now within a few seconds, we are able to transfer that particular the level. The previously that it contained like 2 days downtime for all the connectivity, right? So we are evolving with the product part, and we measure the KPI, and we try to improve this particular KPI, the cost component and the time component. So it's linked with this particular part, because our operational target, we have to always with the BPM part, link with the BPM part. So next slide. So the next we'll identify as the Dinusha early mentioned, the BPM governance. So how the governance structure, because if we are not following what happened, if we are not following the governance, we may not see, because different products are moving different each time, each week we may be doing 2-3 UATs for a different products. If we are not following the one governance, our engineers develop here and there products, finally we may be not able to maintain one BPM structure or architecture. So to do that, we always following the BPM governance part. Basically, BPM governance handling by the chief level parties. All the chief levels are sit together for the BPM steering committee and the governance. So they are the one who basically take the decision time to time. So the BPM, the structural governance roles and responsibility, we define all the end-to-end process ownership at the beginning, because that's a very difficult part once we try to introduce at the BPM ownership, because it's the first the people get the newly concept, that ownership of that. Like for example, fulfillment, because fulfillment, that particular products running from the CRM level, then it's come to the IT, then it's come to the network. So then, but once we consider that particular fulfillment part, we define a one owner, like that the front end people, that the sales and marketing, the people we define as the fulfillment, the process owner. Similarly, once you come to the assurance, we define the operational team as the owner of that particular part. Likewise, we define the BPM roles each and every time, and we sit together with this particular owners and review the particular process. So we define that particular part. So that's the one part where that. So then whatever the changes, we ask them to take the ownership. Like if any fulfillment issues comes, that particular process owner need to take care about that, so that he automatically get the ownership. So because different products comes, different the technology comes, but the one owner as a end-to-end service fulfillment handling that particular the requirement. So that's the part where comes like the The next one, we come to the guiding and controlling change initiatives, because the structural change and the control layer is very important for the BPM, because it's not static, always moving. So there we basically consider how we can change the change control board. Right, each and every time once you introduce in a new change, sometimes the existing process we have to review, and we have to introduce a new components for that particular the process. Sometimes we added new we call in our process the telco process level order types, right? The fulfillment order, the assurance orders, and the different order, create order, like different order types. We have already defined like 11 order types, but based on the new business scenario, we have to define a new order type. And in that particular situation, we are going through this particular change control board. Basically, the control changes, they review that one. How impactful that particular introducing one changes to that particular one to the existing part. Right, because sometimes the process level changes. Once we do in one changes, it may affect it to the another part, because all are running on the same IT platform. So in order to do that, so even though we are testing several times, we before doing that particular change, we measure that, we send that to the change control board and see the impact of that particular change, because this particular change control board is headed by the CIO, right? And the business team parties already sit with that. They see the business aspects of that particular change, of that particular process. Sometimes that may be related with the certain capability gaps. So then before implementing that particular process, we identify there is a capability gap with that particular unit or the region, and we have to enrich that particular or fill this particular gap in that. So likewise, these particular changes going through the one change control board. And control review and the certification, basically we consider the ISO 9000 or the service level agreements, especially links with the, we have defined in our consumer level, we define certain KPIs for with the or the SLA level with the customer. And similarly, once you come to the enterprise level, so there are very tight SLAs. If you breach certain SLAs, we may have to do the certain penalties for those part, because for example, some services we are giving for the banks. So with the entire bank's system is depend on our services. So if we are doing any changes for that, it will affect it to their revenue. So therefore, there is a SLAs, and to support that SLA, we define the OLAs within our organization. That is the once you implement in the BPM part, that's one of the major difficulty we come across, how we define the OLAs and get the agreement of that particular internal staff to this particular OLA. Because if the front end going to sign SLA, there should be a OLA within the organization. Otherwise, we can't match the SLA what we have as a company we set with the other customer. So to fix the OLA one, we require this particular BPM, because BPM level indicating all the task level and end-to-end the cycle time and the each and every task time frames we define within this particular OLA and how they are handling that part. For example, network, if they are doing a field service, not like the mobile, we are providing the fixed line. If there are certain new connection, new fiber is laying, what is the time that the field service staff required to lay the fiber? We are signing that particular OLA, right? So whether they are using the poles or not poles, likewise, all the condition level, this particular OLAs are defined there within the organization. Next one comes with the platform integrity and the data governance, because all the data parts, the link with the BPM, we are taking the decision based on that particular data. For example, if we keep the version level up, right? We keep the separate versions up, and we identify, because several processes are moving on top of the versions, we keep version control and identify what are the changes of that particular one. And with that particular data governance part, we are handling within this particular BPM. And aligning with the global frameworks, as which I mentioned earlier, we are basically linked with the TM forum part. So the TM forum, there are several components come with the TM forum. That is basically tele-management forum. There are members, I think almost all the telcos in Indonesia as well. I met several key person in our TM forum conferences. So we basically link with this particular TM forum. There it contain the ETOM, that is Enhanced Telecom Operational Map, that is linked with the processes part. And there is another one called the SIT, Shared Information Database, that's basically linked in the data structure level. And there is another one called TAM, Telecom Application Map, that's related with the how automations and that parts come with that. Likewise, the ODA and ODF part define that particular part. We are basically following. We try to as much as possible align with this particular TM forum standards, because it's very easy for us to do the changes in next time. So the previous versions and our system, even once you write new RFP for a new IT system, we asking all the IT vendors to comply with the TM forum standard. Otherwise, we are not getting that particular bids. So that's level we are maintaining. Previously, we had a lot of problems with the most of the non-standard IT platforms. We can't manage that one. Once you connected, as Dinusha mentioned, we are connected all the IT platforms to our SOA bus, that is enterprise service bus. So if it is not a standard level, we can't maintain that part, the particular the connectivity. So that's what basically comes under the global frameworks for the standards. Next ones we basically link with the people. That's the most difficult part in the BPM part. How we can, because technical, because this is particular, as you know, as the students with the process part, it's not purely a technology. So it's go beyond the technology and how we can adapt this particular part technology into the organization. Right, whatever the process we develop or whatever the process we implement, come up with that. And if our user, the front end employees or the other operational employees are not following that, we can't implement that particular one. So this is the most difficult part, especially we have like 6,000 staff. Out of that, almost all the 6,000 staff are linked with whatever the process within the organization to bring all this into one framework. And following that part is a major challenge what we had. So under that, awareness, engagement, and knowledge sharing. So there are each and every process defining, and we always collaborate with the user department. We identify all the stakeholders as a BPR team. We identify all the stakeholders, and we get them into the board and discuss this particular part. Once you are doing any changes, for a good example, once we implement in our CRM system, CBEL CRM system, we did 25 workshops across the organization. So that 5 days workshops, 25 5 days workshops we did to aware all the staff from CEO level to the middle management certain level, who are basically handling, to aware them that this type of framework is going to implement, and this is the process standards you have to follow. Right, so that particular part we have done with the basically with the awareness. This awareness is not only that the one time, each and every time we are implementing the process, we are doing the process awareness each and every time, right? Especially once we are moving with the major product technologies comes with that. For example, once we implement in the FTTH, we did the entire country awareness session, right, before implementing the FTTH, right? Even FTTH implementation, we monitor the certain period, and again after 1 month, the weaker areas we identify, and we did the awareness again and again till it's come to the mature level, and till that particular persons are keep that confident about the new processes. So and also the knowledge sharing. Actually, we had 8 engineers within our BPR team, because each and every persons are handling a different set of products based on the requirements of the user department. So each and every week we had a 1 hour time slot, and we share our knowledge, right? If any persons come up with the new thing and he or she share that particular knowledge among the other team members. So then once they are getting a new work, they know that it's possible to implement this way, because if they implement a new thing, they come up with that and share that part. So it will be easy for the other engineers to develop the same thing, right? Rather than just we are getting especially once it come to the enterprise level products, those are very complicated products. So we sometimes the change request may contain like more than 100 pages. So that level technical the books we are writing to do the configuration. So they are sharing that particular part each and every time. And the learning loops and continuous maturity, because the processes that I mentioned, once we come to the implementations and implement, we time to time check with we are going regions and check whether they are following our standards. And if they are, sometimes they may be deviated from that based on their experience. Because it's not easy to maintain 4,000 like field staff. There are like 4,000 staff. Sometimes they may be doing mistakes. Certain data level mistakes we can capture. We are monitoring the process performance and we can monitor, but certain level we can't even capture those things, right? So the data entry level, they are doing mistakes. It may be affected in later. And also other way, they may be come up with the new solution, because they are the seen that particular area or that particular job role sometimes better than us in the BPR team. So they may come up with the new roles, a new way to overcome certain issues, certain new ideas. We get that particular part and improve the process, right? So that's we basically get in a loop in for example, if one person doing we'll say the PSTN, we go in that we call it as the process clinic, right? So each region we are going there and we get meet the process users and gather their requirements. Sometimes they may say these commands are not working. This why you do it in this particular way. This may not be the correct way to do that. So why can't you improve this level? We heard from the bottom up approach there, right? They are come up with the different ideas. We get that part and embedded our process, and sometimes the process may be continually improve based on that particular feedback. And the leadership commitment and the strategic direction, basically this link with the team level. Sometimes the strategic people come up with the different the ideas. So these type of strategic directions you have to follow. So then we align our processes according to that particular strategic direction. Right, so that basically link with the SLT, like the top level managements sometimes come up with the new strategic directions or strategic KPIs. We align our entire process, because BPM is the one who link with the strategy to the execution. So there we are playing the in-between role. So we align our BPM part according to the requirement of our top level management. So based on that, so we link with that. Cross-functional collaboration and the local empowerment, basically each and every process, once we define, we require this particular collaboration. As what I mentioned earlier, we identify the stakeholders, and sometimes the certain processes may deviate. Certain processes, they are following in a different way. The first thing we are doing is we are capturing the as-is process. For example, once you implement in the ERP system, so the certain processes are not developed by the BPR team or the BPM team. So this may be a new thing for us. So in that case, first we gather the relevant stakeholders and gather their requirements, and we document the as-is process first. Then with the as-is process, thereafter we identify what are the pain points that the user department face and what is the requirement from the top management. Collaborating these both parts, we come up with the new processes, and that we define the to be process. That's once we develop in the ERP system for SLT in 2015-16 period, we developed that type of approach to come up with the new processes. So the to be processes, we hand over to the ERP implementation team to come up with the lower level, because at that time we haven't seen what sort of ERP system. It was in a bidding stage, but we developed the process up to the level 3, if I'm correct, level 3, and we hand over that particular to be processes to the ERP implementation team. Then it's come to the institutionalization and the structured and change capability, because we, as I mentioned, the BPM always need to do certain changes. It's not a static part. It need to be changed again and again based on the requirement. There we do the process bridge with the gap part and identify how we can fill this particular gap in the certain level. Right? For example, if you link with the gaps in the cycle time, our initial expectation is to complete the process within a 1 day, but due to the lacks of the system issue, or maybe our staff issues, sometimes we may be dragging more than 1 day, 2 days, right? So our target is to 1 day, but it exceeds like 2 days. So then we identify how we can overcome this particular gap to match that particular requirement. So then we analyze that part and how we can do that. We did that. Most of the processes we had to do that, because initially at the very first thing, once you implement it may be not reach the expected time gap, right, the cycle time. So then we basically go through the processes again and see how we can improve that. So sometimes it may be delay with the people, sometimes that new order types may not be comfort by the user department, sometimes the delay of decision making by the certain decision making team, right? So maybe the IT systems issues, right? Likewise, there may be a different type. We think how we see how we can improve that part and come up with the expected targets. Dinusha. So next we'll build the culture level, how we can build the process oriented culture. So that's the part we want to run the organization, process oriented organization. So that's as a BPR team or the BPM team, that is our main target. So there we first thing is we did the awareness to show the people, user department, that you are not just a one person. You are doing a one role, which is basically important for an entire end-to-end cycle. So then they really identify the shifting from functional mentality to the process thinking mentality. So then they know that once they are doing something, it may be affected to the big picture level, right? How it affected to the end-to-end cycle time, how it's affected to the give a quality service to the end customer. So that particular view we did for the each and every user level. So otherwise, the people may think that if they're doing just something, doing the work bucket, it may be end of their role. But we introduce them, it is not their role. So they started to work with their downline, the task owners and the top line task owners. When they are hand over in the particular activity to the next team. So then they think about that. Otherwise, they do something, but sometimes erroneously they are doing. So they don't know what is really happening next part. So we give this particular big picture for them by doing several awareness, each and every process entire. So they may be doing only one activity, but we aware them, this is the one activity of this particular chain. And you are doing one critical activity. If you are not doing this particular part, it will affect to this particular entire chain. So we try to develop the mentality leaving from functional to the process. That's how we build that particular part. So then we'll come to the BPM into the performance culture. So all these particular processes we basically link with the either ERP system or the OSS system or the CRM system. So basically in our OSS system, that is operation support system, majority of tasks going for the network and field staff. So there it's going as a bucket, that particular sectional bucket, that particular task is going. So then that particular bucket, so there's not only one person, it's a team of person. So therefore, we try to give them that this particular task, you as a team, you have to complete. Not only one. Otherwise, people may think this is not my task or this is not that particular person task. Likewise, they try to segregate so that we avoid that part and bucket. It's a responsibility of the teamwork to complete that particular task. What's come to their bucket. And we did another thing. We regional award ceremony. We each and every year we are conducting that part. In that case, we measure what is the best team complete their tasks on time. That particular BPM, the OSS system, we can get that part with whether how many tasks they have completed within the given timeline and how many activity. And same times, if any person is not complete their task, it will automatically escalate it to the higher level or it going for a next level. Likewise, it's moving till the CEO level. So that escalation path also we prepared. So that if it's going for the next level, that the DGM or the GM know that this particular team is not done their particular work. Right, so sometimes certain services are very critical. For example, if you give in a new service to the hospital or the bank, right, it may be a very critical service. So in that situation, there is a SLA, but if they are not match that one, it may be the breach, and we have to do the penalty. But that top level need to aware how many activities that not completed by the lower level staff or the technical officers or the technicians, that will escalate it to the higher level. So the people and that particular completion task also link with their performance cycle each year annual performance. We get this particular the number of work order completion within the given time period as a performance factor to their annual performance. Right, so then it will affect it to their next year increment as well as the annual bonus. So then the people try to maintain a proper way to complete that. And we check that here and there samples and check whether they have done the correct way, because somebody can do anything and close the work bucket. Right, so that may be, it may move into the next person, but not completed that. So that type of parts also we try to capture within our processes. Then empowering employee to continuous improvement, as what I mentioned earlier. So there are the set of activities that BPM team taken to get the views of the real process users. One thing is we are getting in our BPM, so the sectional section, there is a block that anybody can lock that particular part into this particular block and enter that part. So that will move in based on the product level, or it is a general process, it's moving to most of the time the DGM. If it is a product level process issue, it will move into the particular process developer. Right, that's how we created that BPM logs. So that will escalate it to the BPM that as a new activity or new idea. And same time, so while we are doing the process clinic, we are going across the country, meeting the different team. They are come up with the different ideas. That also, if this is a good idea, we will implement it and send some process. We call it as a process alert. Right? We have one channel called the process alert. Once so that any things get related with the process alert, people know that this is a new process they introduce or new change for the existing process, something like that. So that particular channel continuously send, even minor process changes, we send a process alert to the relevant party. So then they can identify that what the BPM team has already done for that particular part. So that's how empowering employees to get their ideas, and we open always these particular forums to them to come up with the ideas, right? Otherwise, people may come up with, sometimes they may unknowingly doing the wrong thing. We may not capture those changes, because sometimes we already appointed change champions. Right, once you implement in a major product, we identify the change champions and we provide the thorough training for them. Even so, they basically they work as a train the trainer. like change champions, they supported to the rest of, for example, each front end, there are 5-6 person. So we get the one capable person and do a thorough training. So any issues comes with the other people, they link with that particular the change champion and get the idea of the correct way to do that. If something going, that particular change champion get mistakenly something and do, so entire team is doing the wrong thing. So that to avoid that, we always link with this change champions, always keep the change champions link with us. And so something issues they come up with, always they ask to raise that. If they are not sure, that don't uh, teach others that part, get clarify that, because sometimes they may be getting only a one component, they are not seeing the big picture of the process sometimes. So then sometimes they erroneously doing, assuming that is a simple thing they are doing, but we may be they may be doing a wrong thing, right? To avoid that, we basically doing that type of changes there. Dinosha, next slide. So the next, the BPM methods and action, from structural design to the conceptual continuous optimization, because we are doing the define the business process architecture. So as Dinusha also early mentioned, it's an evolving one. It's not a static, right? Based on the requirements, based on, because we are not, though we follow the ETOM, we are not 100% get the ETOM, because it's like it's a framework, right? We can't 100% implement in the as is framework in real world. It's not practical. So we customize the particular part and we get what our own a version for our process architecture. So that particular process architecture is evolving based on the technology, based on the new business scenarios, based on the new rules implemented. Based on that, we are doing that changes. So that's linked with the process architectural review. That particular reviews also basically doing with the with certain criteria, right? Once you're doing the process architecture review, we see what is the impact of that particular one. And somebody need to justify, that business team need to justify, this is the business justification to do the architectural review. Otherwise, we blindly doing that, it may be affected to the entire business. Then the life cycle, the tailored BPM life cycle framework. So basically link with the BPM life cycle. So that basically link with the initiation, then it's come to the process designing, then come to the process testing and implementation, then come to the optimization. Likewise, that particular standard cycle we are following, and we define the process owners, that part. So end-to-end process owners and activity owners, like in the BPM journey, and we provide them as the responsible party to come up with the changes with the process-oriented part. And considering the process, the BPM and 2, basically we following, that's the standard. I think all know that. So why we following that? Because easy to understand that all, and it's easy to do the communication from BPR team to the technical team. And any process review, it's very clear that all are following the same standard. So that's the basically the industry standard. BPM and 2 we are using. So and our tools and what we basically use in the IBM BlueWorks Lives, we use for the design the processes. So there we are using, early we use the different software, but once you get the SOA BPM from the IBM, so they provide us their own software, that BlueWorks Live. So that's very easy for to do the documenting the processes, and it's also it's easy to convert that particular document to the user guide, because each and every process once you completed, we provide the user guide to the user department. With our process alert, we are sending the user guide. So the conversion, otherwise it's take another more than 1 month to get the screenshot and develop a separate document for the user guide. But with the BlueWorks Live, it make easy our engineers' life to send the one communication or convert that the particular process design into the process documentation. guide. Dinesh. So the structural design and continuous optimization. So the agile and incremental process improvements that I mentioned repeatedly, because this is not a static, based on the business requirement, based on the technical changes, based on the limitation of the certain technical changes, we may have to do the process change, and also with the IT platform capability that we have to do the changes in this BPM processes. I think we are basically doing agile part, and we always keep the process version and do the changes there. Then integrate with the change management and the governance. The each and every process changes, which I earlier explained, we have to go through the change control board, and change control board basically see the impact of this particular change and how it importance for the changes, because some changes once we are doing, we have to the revisit the user guide, as well as sometimes we have to what we call like where the all the user departments or the front end users, sometimes we have to ask them to do the, if it is a minor change it's okay, but if it is a major change, sometimes we have to had a separate process training. In our training center, we define certain training modules in our training center, SLT training center, and we use these training modules. Now, if it is come up with the new product level, a major product, major technology change, we define one module there. For example, FTTH, we have a one process module, the training module. PSTN, we have a one training module. Certain enterprise level products, we have a training module. Well, we define that. So any major changes with that particular part, we have to do the retraining the staff to aware them the changes. Then the integrating BPM into the enterprise architecture. So the same thing what I mentioned previously, we are the link with the enterprise architecture. And if you are doing the changes, either way we have to update the either the BPM part as well as the enterprise level architecture. And performance monitoring and continuous optimization. This is very important in the BPM level, because we basically running several processes there. So there are two methods we have using the BI tools provided for each and every user department or the user department heads. They can see the process performance under their supervision level, as well as in the BPR team using the BAM called business activity monitoring. That particular system basically link with the IBM tool, link with our SOA BPM layer. So that basically provided the high level view, what happened to the process instance running on that. We can measure how many process instances are moving, how many process instances are stuck at different level. That particular the active details we can get from the business activity monitorings, and we early planned but not actually implemented. So that give that BAM view to the business users. So instead of that, we are providing the BI tool for business users, because that particular license is actually very expensive. So if you are using the many BAM license, we have to pay many license for the IBM. So therefore, we didn't do that level. So then the tools supported for the BPM method basically link with the, as Dinusha mentioned, that RPA part, we are using the UI path for the RPA monitoring, and the normal automations we basically link with the internal part. We basically link with the ERP, that is our e-business suite is our ERP system. We are using that particular part because all our finance, project management, and the inventory control and all links with this particular ERP system. Processes link with that, and our OSS, BSS, and the CRM basically link with the OSS is Clarity OSS system, is an Australian product. BSS is our Netcracker BSS system we are using, and also CBEL CRM we are using there for as our CRM. So all the processes are defined through this particular systems and automating the activity there. Then, for example, our broadband part, fully automated with that one. Certain activity, but for example, fault, we can't do fully automated. Certain level, you need to go and do the corrections. For example, any fiber cut, so that we can't do 100% automated that. So we basically, the field that particular task is assigned through our Clarity OSS system to the relevant work group. And monitoring and governance process performance through data-driven the tools, basically, which I mentioned, BI tools we are using as the tools to measure the processes, and also the BAM activity, that business activity monitoring, IBM tool, basically we are using to measure the process performance level. So these are the tools we basically following to measure the processes, and we basically link the majority of processes are linked with either CRM or the OSS system, and the BSS system comes with the billing part. The majority of work groups are linked with the either OSS system or the CRM system. So the most of the things linked with the Clarity OSS system. Fulfillment and assurance part. So these are the major BPM part. So we covered, and I hope I may go a little bit fast because there are a lot to cover, right? But that certain take the telecom oriented terminology, I'll try to minimally use those things because if I mention those things, sometimes only the telco people may understand. There are some buzzwords related purely for a telcos, so I try to minimize those things and try to simplify that particular part in a different way. I hope you may get that, and still if you have any, you may have a lot of questions because it's not easy. It's a journey. We are still moving that. And we started with the very small team, and entirely we drive through the BPM part, right? So initially, then we were convinced the top management once you implement in this part. So we had a lot of problems at that particular stage, especially 2010, 2012, as Dinusha mentioned. Once you develop in the capability, because at that time, majority of processes are not the BPM team defined processes. Those are defined by the different business units. So they get them into the one framework. We had to have a lot of struggle. We had to retrain them people, where the people, and get their mindset. Because people link with the different, they were in their comfort zone. We have to remove those spin and come up with the implement in a one framework. We had a lot of things that sometimes the people sometimes the elder people may not be able to use the certain IT platforms. Right, we had a lot of problems at that particular part, but actually we are really happy. But we were able to move from that even a very low level, but now we are in a very high level part, and we are most of linked with the AI and most are linked with the RPA part. We are moving with that particular level.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Nalin and Dinusha. I think it's a very, transformative journey. I'm sure it's a long journey, as you mentioned already, a lot of struggle. Now, we actually have two questions in the chat room. Pak Mario, would you like to convey or read out your question directly?
Yeah, Professor. Okay, good evening, Mr. Professor Nalin.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question actually about BPM as a context of benchmarking the global standard. Initially, you mentioned that SLT emphasized alignment with international frameworks. I just want to know, actually, from your perspective and your experience, what do you see the biggest challenge for a national telecom operator in such a large and diverse market like Indonesia when applying international BPM while addressing local market realities? Maybe you already heard about Indonesian market, something like that. Is there any similarities with the Sri Lankan market? I just want to know about this. Thank you.
if I'm correctly get your question, that is how you want to know how we have implemented the BPM, right?
Yeah, the perspective between Indonesian and Sri Lanka in
Sri
general.
Lanka.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think our country is still a developing country, but our we have the very good our SLT. The people are more agile, and people are because we were transformed from the government department, then come to the corporate, then come to the privatized. So this particular journey, we were in a transformation. The people were able to quickly change that particular part was there. So that's the inherently within the employees, right, of department. I think Indonesian also, I think the same initially started with the department of telecom, then now in a privatization. So that particular journey, people were able to change. So that particular capability we really use here in SLT, the latter part, because at that time, once we started this 2002, we were in a privatized organization, and we were use the BPM processes to improve that part, which we implement in the following the international standards. Because we if we try to invent everything, because it may not be able to, we may be not be come to the industry standard, because at that time if you compare the processes in the British telecom, they were very high level. And if you say the Singapore Telecom, they were very high level because that particular country itself in a very high standard comparing to us. But we were now little by little we have to change the culture and the people mindset and the system level and everything. We have to do the changes to come to this level. It's take time. That's why the time taken. But the maybe the slow journey, but it's evolving part linked with I think very similar environment in Indonesia as well as per my exposure. But you may be people may be may good technical level very high, because we also getting support from some technical part from the Indonesian team, a certain level that our network side. So your team may be much more higher level, but it's anyway it's a journey. You have to implement in with the one framework, following as a guided framework, and do your changes time to time. I hope I address your question. That's what I think. Any if it is not addressed, let me know which is the part you want.
Yeah, actually, I already answered all my questions,
Okay, thank
Professor. Thank you so much for explanation.
Okay, now Pak Rianto, would you like to ask your question directly, please?
Yeah, thank you, Professor Mahendra. Thank you very much, Professor Nalin, and good evening for everyone. Yeah, first of all, yeah, your sharing is very insightful. So we can know that the BPM is can implemented up until the framework of the company, the policy, and also the culture. Yeah, I have the background in the manufacturing company, and also already implemented some business process improvement, business process change. However, I would like to ask how you manage the people during the BPM implementation or changing period. Usually, yeah, sometimes the worker, when we change their way of working, need to adapt, and sometimes it might impact to the SLA they deliver. So yeah, if you can share the strategy for that. And also, you mentioned about the learning loop for the maturity system. Yeah, I believe that once we make the business process, sometimes it's still not perfect yet. However, uh, the one I experience is when we want to improve again, the endurance of the BPM team and also the worker is already gone. So they already lost the, how can I say,
Interest.
lost the interest.
Yeah.
So yeah, what is your strategy to still have their their energy up until the maturing phase? Thank you.
you. Yes,
Maybe an interesting question would be whether the team is still the same team like you when you started, or they already changed a lot.
Ah, yes, because sometimes up until the implementation
Mhm.
already assigned to another project or something like that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
actually a very good question. So that's a major challenge. Yes, technology, you can bring different technology, the world best technology, but if the people are not adapted to that particular technology, no use of that part. So we had the same challenges actually in especially 2002. We once we implement in the OS system, operation support system, we had people who never touched computer. Like they all maintain everything in a manual. Once you implement in the processes part, the people, we had to first teach them the how to use the computer. Then we come to the how to use the order. Otherwise, if you directly push them to the orders, they never, without having any experience, and some person may be above 50, right? So adapting to a new culture, new automation part, it's a very challenging. So we had a very tough time at that time. Our team go each and every region, stay there, and aware that one by one cutover we did, and we did a very good awareness session. So the BPR team, luckily all the engineers are very good communicators. All my 8 engineers as well as the technical officers are very good communicator. They can, and they were always the tolerable about the people problems, because if you are not think about in our mindset, if you go and try to teach the people, so they may, we are in a two different domains sometimes. So we have to go the people's level and try to understand their problem and solve that. So that's how. Otherwise, people may give up. Another thing, SLT is a more unionized culture. We have a 23 unions, right? People, you see, if you say any something issues there, all the people shouted and come out, right? So we have to balance that particular culture as well. But all are, once you convince that this is how you have to do, this is the important things you have to do, and this is the benefit you are getting, right? So the people were adapted to that. And we never there are some different guys, there are different guys in a different view, that's true, right? Once you implement in, there are a lot of issues comes with the people level, but as a whole, like more than 90% people, once you convince that this is how you have to do, this is the part you have to learn, and if you are not do that, this particular repercussions happen, right? So then the people were adapted, and the best thing is we keep the change management, change champions identify, and we thoroughly train them, and we always keep them with us. That always we keep in a touch with them and ask any questions, and even sometimes after office hours they come up with that. They are a very enthusiastic person. They provide the screenshot and send, right? And we allow them to log all the problems in our website, and we create the different channels for them to reach the BPM team. And we try to, each and every time we try to answer their questions as much as possible, right? So then they encourage them. Otherwise, they think like we are not consider their problem. Sometimes they may be a very silly problem, true, but for them it's a major problem. So this is like, it's the HR point of view. We have to think about once you do the change. Otherwise, it's that's what I mentioned. It's not a purely a technical transformation. It's a entire system ecosystem transformation. We have to change the technology. We have to change the people mindset, and we have to go to their level and do that particular one. That's how we actually achieve that.
Okay, very interesting. Pak Aryan, do you want to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
further?
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to have a follow-up question. With your experience during the transition, do you have like a backup team, or how can I say, like an additional man hour provided only for like yeah, in several cases we yeah, because the transition, the SLA will be reduced, will be go down, and yeah, we still need to keep the maintain
Yeah.
SLA. But if we put an additional manpower in there just to hold up the SLA, sometimes the management will, why we need to do the BPM, because we need to invest or additional cost at that time, something like that. Would you have some insight?
Yes, we had that one. Some certain level we had to certain, because all the regions or the parts are not similarly performed. People, the knowledge level, skill levels, there are gaps. right? Certain issues, certain part, it's come below the level. Certain parts we can maintain. So the below the level, we keep the additional resources and try to, that is only, we have to do only for a certain period. So that we have to convince the management. So luckily at that time, that once you implementing 2002 period, the major shareholders was a Japanese entities and that Japanese team. So they had a good understanding of that. So we had to convince them. Otherwise, they asking, okay, yeah, the same question. Why don't you reach additional people to automate? Right, the people think like automation. The same thing happened once once we implement in the ERP system, or the people think like we can reduce the man hours by 20% or like 50%. But sometimes once we implement, we get the more 10% person, like till it's come to the saturation level. So then it's the management asking why you need additional staff to you provide. You think that initially it reduced by the 20% man hours, but now you increase the man hours by another 20%. Why? But it's for to till comes to the saturation level, we have to keep on pumping that part and we have to be the follower. Otherwise, if we give up that part, it will run in. We can't bring that into the level we want. Right, we have to get that part. Sometimes we get the extra people from some region, the good regions, we get that extra people and ask them to do that part, work orders, because we have to maintain the SLA level from the customer. We can't go, for example, new connection, we agreed that within the 3 days we have to give the new connection. So we have to keep the promise for the customer. There are some situation it may be deviated, but we have to follow in that particular part.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting. Any other question? Now, to follow up on that, if you can, reflect on your journey, for example, for these gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen here in the room that would like to start their own transformation journey, because I think you have a very good support from your top management. Am I correct?
Actually, we convince the management to get the support.
Okay,
Right.
right.
Because
So
people,
you were the one that initiated it.
yeah,
Then,
exactly.
then you need to get a buyout from the top management. What
Exactly.
did you do? How did you convince them?
One thing, we did a good presentation and show them this is how the other countries are doing, like the
Okay.
developing countries. They are using this particular one. We have to do that. Otherwise, we can't cater the process standard or the business quality. We can't maintain, because if you are not come up with that, so that's the major part. We have to convince our top management to get to support us. Right, so that's the part we basically doing that. Otherwise, we can't. And thereafter, we work hard. At most of the 2010, 2011, my team work additional days, even Saturday, Sundays they work. So they were very hardly work and convince the management that we are capable of that. So thereafter, each and every change, they have the trust that we are doing good thing, correct thing. Right, we can develop that. So they purely trust us. Though we are the very small team, 8 and myself 9, only 9 team, but each and that comparative to the like 6,000 at that time, we had like 8,000 staff. So the comparing to 8,000 staff, that 10%, less than 10%, they believe that we are doing a good thing and correct thing. So that particular the parts, and even once we asked to come to the chief officers for our meeting, they provide us, but even their busy schedules, they provide us the time to discuss that part, because certain business rules, certain changes, we have to convince the chief CNO or the CIO or the chief business officers. We have to convince them. So otherwise, we do certain thing and affected the business. So then there is no particular trust with us. So we keep that particular trust. We try to maintain till now that particular trust. We are the doing the correct thing for the organization.
Okay, so I get one thing first. Do you have a certain catch? Like, for example, when you are showing that you said that people trust you and that you are doing a good thing. What was the main KPI or the winner at the time that made them realize, yes, you are doing a good job? Was it cutting costs or speed, or what is
Yeah,
it?
both. Cutting costs, rather cost cutting sometimes little bit take time, but speed
Mm,
is the important thing.
mm,
We deliver the time because the customer feel that rather than the cost, they feel how quickly you can meet the customer target, right? So that's the first thing, like especially
mm,
the consumer business level, as well as
mm,
even the enterprise also same. So
mm,
that particular part, we it's like that's the major part we achieve initially. So we
mm,
provide that particular products, and we able to convince them, okay, because of this particular part we follow that, we achieve this particular level,
mm,
because most of the time we touch with the very latest technology, right? So the certain the example FTTH or the YWA, like that LT technology, CDM technology, we are the one who first touch that particular technology and
mm,
develop the process, and we convince them, tested and convince them we can achieve this within this particular because of this particular framework implement in process. Otherwise, the different people try to move the ad hoc level. We cut those things and always bring that into the one framework, that one. So then thereafter the people will believe that, because we provide the result, we provide the
oh,
results
yeah.
what the management wants.
Right. Okay. Anybody else wants to add a question? If not, I can still continue because it's very interesting for me. For example, you mentioned that you just deliver, and but my question would be, have you ever feel like you are tired of it? Because it seems like you are pushing and keep on pushing, and then do you feel like sometimes it's you face setbacks that you think, oh, I don't think it will work.
Yes, sometimes because that other than the time part, like it's a process you can't touch no within the organization. The any network people implements on something, there is a that the physical something there. IT people implement something, physical something is there. But process people, there's nothing to physically touch, right? So the
Mhm. That's
people
true.
were like, once you, if the people try to get, for example, training level, once you introduce that, most of the time the either IT team or the technical people, they focused on that particular part and get that. So, but we certain level, I had to struggle with the certain chief officers to get our people good thing. So then we keep our team to motivate because entire 10 years period, my DGN period, and all the very capable engineers they are. So they hardly work that particular now also itself, and they were consider that this particular is a journey we want to
Mm,
achieve. As always, so we there are different senior engineers, very young engineers there, but all are work as a one team to achieve that. Still the same spirit there. So that's the major part.
mm,
True, certain level we were dropped certain level, right? So sometimes because we identify certain parts. Once you if the certain level, sometimes we say we feel that we are not getting the expected support from them,
mm,
right? So in that case we feel very hard to come up with that,
mm,
but we know that we can achieve that. So the
mm,
finally that they will
mm.
support us, because sometimes our management is coming from the managements also way changing, and the CEOs are changing, chief level are changing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that particular entire part we have to run the show.
Mm. But for example, you mentioned about BPM, and somewhere in your slides, I'm already thinking like, teaching students, IS students, that supposed to be something that is what they are accustomed of. Now teaching it to somebody in the industry, whether it's hard for them to accept it, because it's so complicated rather than compared to, just drawing flow chart or, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly. It's very complicated. It's very
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
complicated.
But
And
how did you manage to convince them that, it's worth it?
yeah, for example, the each and every time we try to present that in a very nice way for
Mm.
understand by the people, because sometimes our chief level or the top management level sometimes may not tech savvy persons all. So but we have to present it very properly. We take extra burden from our side, and we evaluate each other. Now, once for example, if the Dinosha is doing some presentation, one or two persons they are to evaluate her. What are the mistakes they are doing? What is the not properly addressed questions? Why we are not doing that? So we did additional homework behind the screen to make the things more smoother and more better deliver, because the communication is the main the key arm for us to do the convince the people. So if you are not properly communicate correctly, if anything that any slides or something, sometimes we the team level 2-3 times we review the slides before go and do the presentation product. So because if you are doing any one slide or one word, sometime mistakenly, it will kill the entire journey, entire part, right? Because people get it in a different way. So we very worry about that part, and we review that part and do that particular way. We try to evaluate ourselves again and again, and sometimes the very new engineer comes, we train them under our supervisors, super engineers, the senior engineers.
Okay, right. So before we conclude, because of the time, we can still continue, but then they have another lecture. We can always have a second, session. But to conclude, what's next for you both then, for in your BPM and transformation journey?
How we are in a process of considering how the process intelligence part, how we can implement the AI link into the BPM layer, right? So how we can use the AI to improve further improvements in the processes BPM part. So that's the part actually we are now considering. We are studying that part, how we can bring we are checking with the different vendors also, getting the ideas how we use the process intelligent part link with the our process, because that's the era we expect in a couple of years we may be getting. So we are ready for that part, readying for that, not ready still, we are readying for that particular part.
All right. Okay, then. Dinusha, would you like to add something before we finish?
Yes, actually, as Aline told, we are in the process of adapting AI technologies into our process automation part. We are exploring new technologies. For example, even for RPA process, we embed some AI tools to evaluate kind of document understanding and kind of automation, and also AI agentic automation also we are looking for, and process mining and all in order to do process improvements. We are in the way.
Okay, so with that, I wish you all the very best for your next journey. And it really tied up very nicely because next week I'm going to introduce to the students about process mining. So I hope that, your lecture today will encourage and motivate most of us. Even as a lecturer, we need to do always improvement, right? So I think I must thank you very much for, spending the time with us. I hope that, in the near future we can collaborate about something else. Maybe I will invite someone from the telecommunication industry to do the benchmarking and things like that. So thank you very much, Professor Nalin and Dinusha, for the time, and also hopefully you will continue, and we will hear more from you about the success in Sri Lanka Telecom. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
We would
Professor.
like to have a picture together, please. If anybody can take a picture for us, please. Maybe Pak Mario, can you take a picture?
Yeah, yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, second row. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I will
Thank you,
be in touch,
Professor.
of course. Thank you.
Thank you. I think
Good night.
hope
Yeah.
good night. Hope you are getting something from us. Our
Yes,
journey and
definitely. It's a long journey, but to see that you are very committed to it, we are certainly going to be, learning a lot.
okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Roy. Thank you. Thank
Good
you, Roy.
night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thank
Good night,
you so
all.
much.
Good night.
Thank
Thank you so much.
you.
Baik, Bapak Ibu sekalian, untuk kuliahnya sudah cukup karena waktunya juga sudah mepet. Kita akan bertemu lagi minggu depan, masih dengan untuk cek simulasi dan mudah-mudahan waktunya mencukupi untuk saya close dengan proses mining. Itu tadi yang dijelaskan oleh beliau. Nah, mohon sebelum kuliah disempatkan untuk melihat karena proses mining ini kan one step lagi gitu ya, yang disebut dengan proses intelligence. Jadi sempatkan untuk melihat video singkat yang sudah ada, yang dimaksud itu apa. Demikian Bapak Ibu sekalian, saya close sampai bertemu minggu depan.
Terima kasih, Prof.
Terima kasih, Prof.
Sama-sama.
Terima kasih, Prof.
Terima kasih, Bro.
Ya.
Terima kasih, Bro.